I've opened up my heart. I'm at the start. I save the world.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Special shout out and thank you now for those of you who are watching this as a recorded video. We put all of my videos on 3 different platforms right now. They're on YouTube, they're on BitChute, and they are on Rumble. So please be sure to subscribe to whatever platform you are watching this on. And I encourage you to leave a comment. Also encourage you to please hit the like button. The more people who like the videos, the more they get shared and the higher they rise on that platform's, share list. So, of course, we want as many people as possible to engage these wonderful healing thoughts that are found in this discipline that we have embraced and practiced, named A Course in Miracles. A recent workbook lesson had, I thought, a very important message for all of us who are miracle healers. And I believe A Course in Miracles is training us and moving us all to be miracle healers. And that was lesson number 235. And that lesson said, God, in his mercy, wills that I be saved. God, in his mercy, wills that I be saved. And I think that it is possible and appropriate to substitute the word healed for saved. I think in A Course in Miracles terms, they pretty much mean the same thing. So that becomes God in his mercy wills that I be healed. God in his mercy wills that I be healed. And that's why it's so important for us miracle healers to know that God is willing us to be healed, to be saved, and not just ourselves, but all those around us, actually the entire world. This entire world that we are told in the Bible that we have dominion over. And A Course in Miracles implies the same thing in a couple of different workbook lessons. I think it even uses that word dominion too. Yeah, it does. So we have dominion over this world. We are ruling this world. Actually, the world is just an extension of our minds. And as today's lesson says, I rule my mind, which means we're ruling the world as well. So, great lesson. So, just what is God, our Creator, saving us from? God in his mercy wills that I be saved. Just what is it that we're being saved from? And the first couple of lines in this work lesson make it very clear that we're being saved from anything and everything that we think might hurt us, that might grieve us in some way, shape, or form. And this following passage was in the reading that Reverend Paula read. And it's the first line in the lesson itself. It says, I need but look upon all things that seem to hurt me, and with perfect certainty assure myself, God wills that I be saved from this, and merely watch them disappear. So there's so much in this sentence. But one of the things that struck me was that it said right at the beginning that we need to look upon it. There's a lot of people who are trying to be miracle healers, and they don't want to look upon things. They want to look over things. They want to look above things. They want to ignore things. They want to not see things. But it actually says that we need to look upon things. We need to look upon the things that appear to hurt us, and we need to acknowledge that, as I'm seeing this appears to hurt me. But then the healing of it isn't in pretending it's not there. The healing is saying, God wills that I be saved from this. God wills that I be healed from this. All of the things that we offered up for healing when we did the prayer healing list, they're all appearances. We're supposed to get that these things are appearing. They're challenges. But we're looking at them, and then we're asking for help, and we're acknowledging that God wills that we all be saved from that. Well, that's just, I loved how it said that. And, I became aware when I was doing this lesson, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, that I had some things in my own life that were causing me a fair amount of anxiety. And my ego was anticipating future pain and complications and complexities and not being at peace. And I was trying to figure things out in my mind. But then I just look at that and realize that God wills that I be saved from that. And if God wills that I be saved from that, then I can merely watch those things disappear. And I loved that aspect of the quotation too, that that's how it ends. I look upon all things that seem to hurt me and with perfect certainty assure myself God wills that I be saved from this and merely watch them disappear. So again, let's take the words for what they are saying. Let's say they mean what they say, that we see the thing, we acknowledge that we think it might hurt us, we ask for God's help, and then we watch the thing disappear. It doesn't say that the anticipated problem is somehow not going to bother us anymore because we've had a mental internal shift, and that is the salvation. It doesn't say that the salvation is strictly us thinking differently about the thing. It says that we'll actually watch that particular thing disappear. And a lot of people in the Course in Miracles community that are trying to champion the idea that we don't expect things to disappear. We don't expect anything external to change. We just change how we think about it so that it doesn't bother us anymore. And that's what the salvation is. But this passage is really saying something else. It's saying that once we've really asked for help and affirmed that God is with us and God is merciful, that the thing will actually disappear. And I just want to take that in, and I want to share that that's, I believe, what the teaching says. And I think that's reasonable. Uh, Course in Miracles talks about reason a lot, and it, makes a lot of distinctions between reason and logic. And reason is logical, but the thinking that reflects reason is flowing from the Holy Spirit. It's flowing from the divine. And it's flowing from the Holy Spirit and it's flowing from the divine logically. But the ego also uses logic. So the thinking that comes from the ego is also logical, but it is not reasonable. A person who is going through, some rather severe problems, asked me, how do I know? And how could he know also then when his thinking is the Holy Spirit and when his thinking is coming from the ego? And, the what people friendly usually say as well, if it feels peaceful, but this person wasn't in a whole lot of peace. I didn't think this person was able to access peace at this moment in time. But you can still tell the thinking of the Holy Spirit from the thinking of the ego because the Holy Spirit's thinking is reasonable. Is reasonable. It's sane. It's sane, logical thinking that flows from the totality, that flows from divinity, channeling into us from the Holy Spirit, from the conduit that is the Holy Spirit. And I think that's something we can always detect and have discernment about, even if we can't quite access peace. The other thing is, when we're really in our ego, the ego gives us a form of peace, which is actually truce, not real peace. And it's easy to confuse truce with peace. So I throw that out there along with just feeling peaceful about the thinking. Is the thinking reasonable? Is it sane thinking that is flowing logically from the totality of the universe, from the divine? And as I said, the ego uses logic as well. The Course says the Holy Spirit uses logic as easily and as well as does the ego, except his conclusions are not insane. So both Holy Spirit and the ego are using logic, but the Holy Spirit's logic doesn't come from insanity. It comes from the vastness of spirit. That idea of vastness works for me too. Sometimes I can identify that the thought is a reflection of something that's so much larger. It's so vast. And the ego thinking is confined and precise and separate. So maybe those ideas might help you. So these ideas that all of our problems are going to disappear, a lot of students, a lot of Course in Miracles students will tell you that these ideas are metaphors, not to be taken literally. And I talk about this often because I'm guided to talk about it often. Because I think it's an important distinction that we have to get. We have to learn. And also, many A Course in Miracles teachers have promoted this idea that a lot of the teaching of A Course in Miracles is actually a metaphor. The first time I heard that, I just was like puzzled. I entertained it because I respect what people say, and you know, and it just never fit. It wasn't reasonable. It didn't have the vastness that I have learned to associate with the Holy Spirit. It also just didn't have English sense. That's not what the word metaphor means. I'm an educated person. I know what the word metaphor means, and it doesn't mean what these people were saying it means. Metaphors are supposed to be obviously symbolic. They're obviously metaphoric. They're not plain English sentences that have precise meanings. You don't just say a plain English sentence is a metaphor. No, it's a plain English sentence, and it has a precise meaning. So one of the examples of this, and I've used this before. Let's say that a young teenager is being cocky and dangerous, and he's driving way too fast down the road. And you might say he was being a bat out of hell, speeding down the street like that. Okay, that is a metaphor. Everybody knows that what was actually happening was not an nocturnal flying mammal escaping from the underworld. It wasn't really a bat coming out of hell. And I found the perfect picture to share with you of what I think a bat coming out of hell would look like. And that's it. There's that nocturnal mammal fleeing from the underworld. Okay, that's a symbol. It's obviously symbolic. That's a metaphor. And to say that simple, clear English sentences are metaphors is just not accurate. That's just not what the word means. Metaphors, like I said, they're obviously symbolic. They're not English. I mean, you use a metaphor because you've calculated that you want to communicate something even better. You could say the car was traveling way too fast for the conditions of the road and faster than the posted speed limits. I mean, you could say that, but sometimes you want to communicate something that's stronger, that has more of an impact. So you say it's a bat out of hell. But that's what a metaphor is. So metaphors are obviously symbolic. They're not, again, plain, clear English statements. So it's a misuse of the word. To say that a lot of the teaching of A Course in Miracles is a metaphor, it's a real misuse of the word. It's a misuse of English. And A Course in Miracles, as I am prone to say, it's in English. It came to us in English. It's in the vernacular. It wasn't in a different language. It wasn't in Aramaic or Sanskrit. It wasn't translated, and we have to then think about, well, was it translated correctly? No, it came to us in English. So the statements that A Course in Miracles says, like, this will disappear, your problems will disappear, means they'll disappear. I mean, that's what it means. So I just ask people, don't indulge in that distorted thinking. Think about why you want to indulge in it. I mean, I think what it is that, people just want to somehow reconcile the teaching of the Course with the world that they see. And the teaching of the Course is coming to us through reason, through the divine, through the voice of the Holy Spirit into our minds. It's not about reconciling that teaching with the world that we see. It's about going beyond that. Another thing, and this was also again in the reading that Reverend Paula read, it says, "You have surely begun to realize that this is a very practical course, which means exactly what it says." And I quote that a lot too. So it means what it says. The course never, ever says that a lot of its teaching is symbolic, that a lot of its teaching is a metaphor. What it does say is that it means exactly what it says. And that is not a metaphor either. That's a clear English statement, and it means what the words are saying, literally. The Course means what it's saying, literally. And as I said, we're trying to reconcile this world that we find ourselves in. We're trying to reconcile what our physical senses are telling us. We see things, we touch things, we hear things, we smell things, we taste things, we sense. And we're trying to somehow make the A Course in Miracles teaching match those things that we see, that we touch, that we hear, that we smell, that we taste. And what does A Course in Miracles tells us about our senses? It says, your judgment rests upon the witness that your senses offer you. Yet witness never falser was than this. You place pathetic faith in what your eyes and ears report. You think your fingers touch reality and close upon the truth. So A Course in Miracles is telling us that our senses are literally false witnesses. I mean, that's a real different spin on the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So our senses are false witnesses. I mean, applied to the commandment, that would mean you don't even hold what your senses tell you against your brothers and sisters, even though something may certainly appear and feel and sound a certain way, but don't hold that against your sisters and your brothers, because those are false witnesses. Our senses are false witnesses. Don't try to make the Course reconcile with the world your five senses are bringing you. I'm having anxiety about a situation because I'm believing what my senses are telling me. But I have to remember that my senses are false witnesses, and I can look upon what they're saying. But then I remember that God in his mercy wills that I be saved from that, and then I can watch that issue disappear. And I have seen that over and over happen in my life. Not always as fast as I would like to see things disappear, but they do disappear, especially the more I hold on to the truth that God in his mercy wills that I be saved from that. And I especially know that those things aren't true because they lack that vast quality of reasons that I was talking about earlier. So I'll reiterate, plain English that is not obviously symbolic is not a metaphor. The Course's teaching is not a metaphor. The Course's teaching is not this. That's a metaphor. But that's not what the Course is doing most of the time. When A Course in Miracles tells you that miracles enable man to heal the sick and raised the dead, because he made sickness and death himself and can therefore abolish both, it means it, literally. Because you have trouble reconciling that with the world you see, it means the world you see is wrong. The world you see is false. Because that thought that miracles enable man to heal the sick and raise the dead because he made sickness and death himself and can therefore abolish both, that thought has the vastness of reason behind it. It's not a metaphor, it's the truth. And it's the teaching that we need to embrace. Okay, that's my talk for today. Thank you very much.
Woke up my eyes to see, woke up my head to beat, woke up my heart to be free, woke up our world, you and me. I've opened up my heart, I'm at the start. I save the world, I save the world, I save the world, I save